experimented Toastmasters ever since his mother dragged him to a meeting in 1979. Bill is a computer scientist who has worked in artificial intelligence, tool design, and computational genetics. He has worked in research and taught most of his life, including positions at Stanford, Tufts, and MIT. Most recently, he was invited to give a talk at the British Computer Society in London. Please help welcome Bil Lewis.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Are we excited? This is the 2011 Spring Conference where we are going to set the direction for the next year. This is the most exciting moment in the whole year. I would like to begin by introducing some of the VIPs who made it possible for us to be here. These are the people who have in the past made Toastmasters what it is. So in particular, I would like to recognize our Region 9 International Director, Bil Lewis. Fantastic presenter, Sherry Raftery. A couple of years ago, I was standing on top of Sugar Mountain in Northern California. It was a hot, dry day, and the entire mountaintop was scattered scrub oak, giving scant shade from the blazing sun. I was wearing a down jacket, scarf, and gloves. And so was everybody else, because this was a July 4th weekend in Lakeview, Oregon, and it was filled with hang glider pilots from around the world for the big fly-in. There must have been 100 gliders parked on top of Sugar that day. Their upper surfaces were gleaming white to reflect the UV rays. Their lower surfaces a panoply of color and pattern, each glider echoing the unique personal taste of its pilot. Time to party in the sky! Except you have to get into the sky. And we weren't making much progress. You see, hang glider pilots bear a striking resemblance to lemmings. We will all gather by the edge of the mountain and look over going, are the conditions good? Can we launch yet? You're never quite sure what the conditions are until someone flies. So there's this sort of pecking order where the senior pilot pushes the junior pilot so that we can get the conditions. On this particular day, there were already a half dozen pilots who had launched early. They were at the lower elevations of Sugar trying to find lift. I was the next offering to the wind guard. As I stood on launch and felt my wing rise in the breeze, I noticed that the great oak tree down the hill was beginning to move. Its silvery leaves glittered in the wind, its branches began to sway. A thermal was coming. You could see a line in the dry grass that moved up the hill. Closer and closer, it filled my wing. I floated for a moment, then I began my run. 1, 2, 3, sprinting down the mountain as fast as possible, then jerked off the ground by the intensity of the lift and thrown into the air and up and up. Even as I went prone and pulled into my harness, I was climbing. My Vario was singing beep, 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 beep. I pulled in, rolled hard till I pushed my nose out and entered a steep, coordinated turn at the very center of the thermal. Pulling 2, 3 Gs, I held my bank and I skied out. My Vario was screaming 500, 1,000, 1,500 feet per minute straight up. In 2 turns, I was 3,000 foot over. I looked below me and I saw my fellow pilots, lemmings that they are, sprinting to their gliders, hooking in and throwing themselves off the sides of the mountain as fast as possible. There was a churning sea of white far, far below me. But I was already gone. I had hooked my thermal and continued to climb, drifting back behind Sugar into the Fandango Valley. I turned off my Vario and reveled into quiet. At 16,000 feet, I reached cloud base, and my thermal dissipated into a growing thermal. I was on top of the world! good idea to spend much time at 16,000 feet without supplemental oxygen. So I left my Cumuley and I moved forward to the front of the Bidwell Mountains, where I spent the next 2 hours flying north past Lakeview up to the top of the valley 100 miles away. I made a perfect no-step landing on a short field. My chase crew had beaten me there and they applauded. What a beautiful day. The reason I was able to make this beautiful flight was because I had done the groundwork and preparation. You do not learn to fly by stepping smartly off the edge of a mountain into a 2,000 foot per minute thermal. You start on a 2-foot high sand dune, you run like crazy, you get 1 foot off the ground, and then you crash. Whack! I ate a lot of sand when I was 20. As I got better, I would move up to Fort Funston on the coast of San Francisco, where I would turn figure 8s in the bridge lift for hours on end. Turning and turning and turning above those cliffs, trying to make each turn as perfect and coordinated as possible. That is what made me ready for big air. And the same is true with Toastmasters. We pull out our manuals and we practice and practice and practice. We vary our voices, we expand our vocabulary, we learn to use gestures and shun the fearsome awe. And then, when our version of big air calls, we will be ready. No one ever joined Toastmasters to give speeches to other Toastmasters. So let us take our talents out into the real world, into business, into politics, into education, and make the world a better place. Let us all launch into our own version of big air and soar with the eagle.